All right. I'm going to need everybody's help. What do you want me to do today? What's it going to be? Let me set the properties on here so we can go from this to this. Hey, it works. It's a little low. That's okay. I'll scoot down. Okay. I thought I was going to have a little more time this morning. I was posting some stuff, and turns out, no, I'm not going to have enough time this morning to do that. But I made it. So we have ZBrush, and I'll take you through while y'all are thinking about what I want to do, or what you want me to do today. I was doing... So, I don't know how many of you ever played DC Universe Online. That was like a project I was on for 4 or 5 years, and I was going through, actually let me pull that up real quick. That's always fun, I suppose. We got YouTube, we got ArtStation, we have ooh, 1 a.m. Sorry about that. I mean, yeah, it's 6 a.m. here. Spaceship. All right, we can make a spaceship. So we have this. So here is a board of a bunch of stuff I've worked on over the years. And I was going through here. I wanted to play around with 1024 scan store, displacement maps, and expression base pack. And I was looking for something that'd be super quick and easy. And then I figured, oh, okay, this old Mixoplex guy from DC Universe Online. I still have the original Z tool for it. And so I basically ended up taking this and let's, I guess, go to this one here. And I went through Wrap 3D and wrapped all of that. I guess we could watch. Yeah, I did post this here. Yoink. And I didn't even notice this. On my old DC Universe character, his head was on the ground. So yeah, I didn't really sweat the details back then, I suppose. But anyway, so we have this version here, which I believe, do I have it loaded up in here? No. So you can load up these texture maps. It might take me a minute to get this in because these are 16K texture maps. But let me give it a shot. Go here to... What are we looking for? Displacement maps, male displacement, maps, color map. We'll load this in. Basically, just kind of resculpted him so he's in a neutral pose, not the devious grin, made him a little bit more human. And then let's go in here. I'm going to take this texture map. And ZBrush, you got to flip everything vertically. So we'll give this a couple minutes to flip. Like I said, this is a big map. And then... I went through and then, you know, since I wrapped to the, actually I could probably open that up too. Why not? Let's see. File, recent, wrap. So basically you load in your sculpt, and there's actually Z wrapper you can use for this too. You load in your sculpt, you load in the base mesh that has the UVs you want and the topology you want, and then you pick, let's see, let's go to select point pairs here. Visual editor, there we go. You go through and you just kind of pick, you know, where the corner of the eye is, all the way around to plot points on here, and then you can go in here to wrapping, and you can say compute, and it'll go through and look at those point pairs and look at your geometry, and basically snap your base mesh to that mesh. And then once that's done, terminate that, you throw it out of ZBrush. And then you bring it back in, and hey, we got our texture map. So I'm going to go ahead and load that in. And just to see this a little bit better, let's go in here to skin shader. And in that skin shader material, let's go in here to modifiers, and we'll take that diffuse up just a tad. And you know what? Let's throw a little wax modifier in here. I'm going to put that up a little bit, and we'll go in here to render properties, and we'll turn on the little wax preview here. And get a little fake subsurface scattering in ZBrush. And there you go. So basically, I've got this guy's head. It's got all that wonderful scan store detail on there, all that poor detail that matches the color map and height and stuff like that. And then just export that out. You know, you can make a normal map in here. Just go here, normal map, go to subdivision level 1, go down here, turn adaptive on, create your normal map, export that out. Make sure you clone normal map when it's done, and then throw that out of here. Another thing too, which is super fun, once you have that base mesh, you can do recording, this one. Sorry, I'm dry. It'll have these built-in layers in here. So you can take these layers and you can be like, surprise, oops, his mouth isn't going to move obviously, but like here's his anger, here's fear. What else we got in here? Happy. All those shapes are working, and it's also got all the fax shapes in here. Snarl's a fun one. And then face compression, and then cheek puff, cheek suck, you know, so a bunch of really cool stuff in here. And then, you know, smile closed versus smile open. So all of that stuff is kind of built into that base mesh, which you can get for free from their website. Just that multi-expression base mesh is what that's called, I believe. So once all that's done, export that out. I threw it through Maya's Human IK rig, toss it in a marmoset real quick, and you can kind of see the making of here. I'll go ahead and turn this off here. So you can see, again, I'm taking the original mesh down here, and I'm just turning it into something a little expressionless, wrapping the base mesh to it, going through here with fiber mesh and redoing his hair with some fiber mesh, hooking up the blend shapes there, doing a little bit of Substance Painter, throw it in here, do some quick render, and then wait for it. Drop some materials on there. You get all that detail. Really cool, fun. Actually, I could probably open those up too. We can do it for, actually, while it's doing its thing, I'll go in here and load that up. There we go. And then you get some animation on there. It's basically just it's Mixamo animation, thrown on a Human IK rig, a little bit of additive and a layer just to kind of clean up some interpenetration. I didn't feel like waiting. I did 10 minutes worth of waiting on this, so that's why I didn't bother with the skirt and the shoulders. And that's why his right foot actually lifts up a little bit towards the end, because I was running out of time. Basically, what could I do in an afternoon was the name of that game. So we'll go in here and we'll say File, Open Recent. This one here. This is a huge mix of programs, yeah, but it still went pretty quickly. You know, it was basically, you know, just a couple minutes in Substance Painter, obviously. And I don't think I did anything super special there. This is just the scan store stuff wrapped to my updated ZBrush model. The ZBrush re-sculpting didn't take that long. Marvelous Designer on the close. Just a real quick pass on Marvelous Designer. And then, like I said, again, here's, you know, you can get right in there and see all the cool stuff in there and play around with the materials a little bit. Fiber mesh hair. And if we go in here to the sky, let's turn this one on. I don't know what sky this one is. Let me just do this one real quick here. Let's see, textures. And you can go to the 1024, the Scan Store YouTube channel. It's got all the tutorials on there, so you can go through there and you kind of mess around with this type of stuff and check your maps. He's a little shiny. That's okay. I'd be sweating too if I was doing Samba. We'll go in here to Open Recent, and then you can just export an FBX that has all the animation baked into it, and you just import that in, and then you got your little and then you just pass through the blend shapes as he's doing his thing. I mean, obviously he's a little dead in his eyes. I'm not an animator, and I didn't really spend any time animating this. Obviously, I was just taking what was there and setting some keyframes and calling it a day. But yeah, so ta-da! We got a little scene here going. Oh, and there's also motion blur on there too, which is kind of fun. You can go in here to render. I think it's under render. No, I think it's under camera. somewhere in here you can turn on motion blur. And then so when you render it out as he's moving his hand and stuff, you'll get a little bit of little drag on there. So that's that'll kind of sell the illusion just a little bit. Make it extra creepy. All right, so that was that. If you want to see, like I said, kind of the making of stuff, I have it here on ArtStation. There's that little video and then some other stuff and all the programs used right there. So, oh, and the Scan Store link is in the description there, so you can check that out. Okay, we good? Doom hard surface prop with ZModeler. No one does Doom props in ZBrush. I wouldn't use ZModeler for it probably, but we can do a little bit of that. I would use a little bit of ZModeler. I take that back. Actually, if you want more on that, they have a whole ZBrush Summit on that. Let me get you this here. Let's see. So I'm going to say share this link here. Done. So here's a hard surface something or other. And if you scroll down, you'll see id Software here, and here's some id Software examples, and here's them using ZModeler and Dynamesh and whatever makes sense to go through and make all of this stuff, Booleans and whatnot. So you can check that out. I'll link it. I'll do a direct link to you. Let's see here. Can I copy that? There we go. Yeah, here's a tricky one with fiber mesh. You can, of course, you can take these curves and do these fiber mesh curves into XGen and do whatever you need to in there too. This is just quick and dirty. How do you get your proportions right during a face likeness? Is there a trick or only hard work? There's tedious work. There's hard work in the sense that if you have really keen observational skills, you can just have reference up and just match it with your eyeballs. The easier one for me is there's a Z plugin called... Oh, also, when I go to export these, I don't know, let's see if this works. I'm going to say delete other... Okay. All right. So we got a face. We have blend shapes on that face. And I'm going to go over here to Maya blend shapes. And we're just going to say export blend shapes. That'll go through and export my blend shapes and set all of these up in Maya. I'm assuming it'll do it on the L1. That makes sense. Let that go. So there is a Z plugin I use called Ref Switcher. You can bring in just 10, shots of the person that you're trying to match, and then you can just cycle through all those shots and match your model behind it. And then as your shots change or as your reference changes, your model will change behind it. You just set up the camera, and then you just sit there and you match the silhouette and you match the features, and then you brush everything into place, and then you clean it up a little bit, and there's your likeness. Does fiber mesh work in Substance? I didn't try to texture it in Substance. It's just fibers. So I just basically in Marmoset, I just went in the albedo and I turned it from just albedo map to you can change it to vertex color. And I just colored it in ZBrush and just use a vertex color for that. I have tried Substance's Wrap Deformer, but I mean, instead of going through and wrapping a bunch of little sections of a face, I just took the face wholesale and called it a day. Yes. Allow. Beep, beep, beep. Think it'll do it. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that link will be fun to kind of go through and check out. There we go. Oh boy, he's tiny. There he is. So now we have, let me go through here. Give this a second. Okay. Sorry, it's chugging. Maya takes a second to load everything up. Let's go to, there it goes. To be fair, I have a bunch of stuff loading into Maya that's kind of custom. So we're going to go in here to, what do we do? Modeling, mesh display, soften my edges. There we go. And then we have our shape editor open, animation Windows animation editor, shape editor. And then we can go through here and we can, what do we got? Smile, Yay. All that good stuff. What's a good one? M? All those shapes. Anyway, that's fun. Automatic setup. In fact, if you want to do your own, I'll toss you this too. It's also fun. If we go in here and we say blend shapes on my YouTube channel, there's the ZBrush Maya blend shape plugin. That'll take you through like doing your own blend shapes and stuff like that. Left and right side, all that good stuff. So anybody into blend shapes, you can check that out. And let's do some, there we go. Okay. Man, there's a whole bunch of bot stuff on here. Any advice for a new learner? Just make stuff, and then basically you make something, and it's going to take you a long time. It's not going to probably turn out very well, and then make something else, and it's going to get a little faster, a little better. Make something else. Just keep making stuff. That's the best bet. Cool, awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and make some stuff. We have spaceship, and the expression download is scan store 1024 scan store. And you can get that for free. It's somewhere on there. Or it's, actually I have it here on my ArtStation page. I think it goes to James's page here. Oh no, it goes right to it. There you go. So, right there. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what a Doom prop would be, to be honest. What's a Doom prop? Like a shotgun or a armor. I haven't played Doom since Doom 3, and even then it was mostly probably Doom 2 was the last time I really sat down and played a lot of Doom. So I'm a little out of the, we can make a Doom toilet. It might be kind of fun. What else we got in here? So we can do something more organic-y and kind of gross. That might be kind of neat. These would be fun and easy. I'm trying to see if there's something like mechanically or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so let me move my mic here and we'll get started. Delete all. Okay, so we want to do a some sort of a prop here. And if it's just like a sci-fi prop thing, I don't know. I'm trying to think of something I can do really quickly in a live stream that wouldn't be too tedious watching me do it, just a bunch of stuff over and over and over again. Yeah, let's do something vaguely, I don't know, sci-fi and also maybe goopy. Doom Eternal. Prop, I don't know. I'm trying to remember, like there was like the Soul Sphere. I'm trying to remember what was in Doom that was interesting. Substance Painter baking. My seams look very bad when I have a 3D neighbor enabled on UV padding. I don't have one on Substance baking. I do have a Substance my YouTube channel playlist. I do have old Substance stuff way down here, like Substance Designer and Substance Painter Quick Start. But the baking is essentially just have your high and your low set up, and then it should respect that with names if you turn that on, namespaces, and then it should bake pretty clean. A plugin list, I mean, if you're just starting out, I wouldn't use a ton of plugins. You can get a lot done just with vanilla. Hardware, hold on. Let's see, workstation. On my YouTube channel, if you type in workstation, we have the, hold on, let me get rid of my pen here. Here is my workstation, and then the description of that video has the, I think it has the specs. I don't think I've changed it since that video, maybe a little bit. Cool, all right, so what are we making? Something with a skull on it, right? And then something that's vaguely sci-fi. And if I don't know really what I'm making, a good start might be, let's see, we can hit, yeah, let's go down here. We'll go down here to initialize. Let's close all these out. And because this is a Polymesh 3D, I can just hit Q cube, and now I have a cube in here, and I can scale this out and scale it up. And if I want to, have nice even quads on here, I can turn on X to go into X symmetry. Just tap X on your keyboard, and we'll go in here to Geometry, ZRemesher, half, detect edges, ZRemesh, and we'll get some nice even quads. We can hit Control D, it'll crease them for me too. Delete lower. Go through here, and we can grab the knife curve brush. Let's go ahead and get out of here. And we can start making a shape, right? So with knife curve, you can Alt tap twice, and you can just kind of slice something out. And then we can go through here, and we can kind of, I don't know what we're making here. Something like this. And so we have a shape, and I'm just kind of eyeballing some random stuff online. I guess this will maybe kind of work. So we have a floating weirdo thing. We can have this hanging from a chain or something. So we have a shape, and when I went through here and sliced, it gave me new polygroups. If I wanted to, again, I can do a ZRemesh half, that size down to 0, keep groups, move groups down to 0, and then just go ahead and ZRemesh this, and I have a nice clean ZRemesh, cleanish, that we can go through and model. Now you might notice that in here, it kind of, as I just tapped Alt twice or Alt once to do a smooth curve or Alt twice to do a sharp curve, it didn't give me a new polygroup on here. If you want to avoid that, one thing you can try is we could take this right here. It has all polygroups on all sides, and if it doesn't, if you just have Control W to set those all, you can do group by normals underneath your polygroup menu. I'm going to do a quick geometry, modify topology, mirror, and weld again, so we have just polygroups the same on both sides. And then I can take this here, I'm going to duplicate this off, we're going to scale it out just a bit here, and we can use this. Let's turn off X symmetry. So I can use this to slice in as well. Now, if I want to move around just big shapes, one thing I can do is I can go in here and I can use like the Lattice Deformer. So just hit W on your keyboard. I'm going to take this down to just 1 each, and then I can go through here. And even though it's a high-res mesh, I can treat this as if it's a small-res mesh just by going through there and moving that. Of course, I can use this, again, subtractive, turn on live Boolean, and then I can go through here and I can just slice through. You can also use a cool thing, you might like this. You can go in here to Spotlight, grab some hard surface shapes, and hit Z on your keyboard, and we'll just move these here so you can see them. So these are some Spotlight shapes. If you want more information on this that goes into a deep dive, I mentioned this once, now I'll mention it again. So all these things with a little corner folded down are like what's new videos, basically from 4R8 all the way up to 2022. So all the new what's new stuff. And then in here, I think it was like ZBrush 2019 maybe. In here, if you go in here and you click on, there's 48 videos. And yeah, Snapshot 3D. There's a bunch of Snapshot 3D videos in here you can check out. So there you go. Have fun with that. They'll take you through all the deep dive on what I'm doing here. But so you can just take shapes out of here. You can grab, oh, I don't know. I mean, this is a cool one right here. Boom. And then we can say, so we have live Boolean turned on. You can hold down Alt and tap this. And then if we hit Shift Z, that'll go through and basically take this shape and punch it through. It's a live Boolean. So you can go through here and you can do whatever you would want to with this shape. Just another option for you. Now we have a shape over here. I'm going to do a quick, again, just mirror and weld across the X-axis here. And then this one we don't really need, but we could use it if we wanted to. And then we can, we'll take this one again. And if you don't want to mess around with lattices or anything like that, we can duplicate this one off, scoot it up a little bit. And with polyframe turned on, we can just go down here to geometry. I'm going to reconstruct my geometry back to what it was originally. And we're going to say delete higher. And then, we can go through here. If we really want to simplify this, we can do insert single edge loop, and we just go down and hold down Alt and just get rid of all these. And now we have a very simple shape. In fact, we don't even need this if we were to go out of X symmetry, but since we're down the middle, we'll go ahead and keep it. And then we can just scale this in, scale this out. Again, use this as a cutting tool. So we'll just turn on that subtractive mesh here. And now I can go through and I could subtract stuff out. And the reason why I'm even going through all this, let's take, let's scale this down a little bit here, and we'll say Control Alt and then scale this out. Okay, so here's our shape here. Alt, off, live Boolean, polyframe. Okay, so here's our shape here. And the reason why I'm doing this is it's pretty nice to be able to go through and kind of change some stuff around and see it on the fly. However, all this stuff, it's just a live Boolean. It's not real. If I turn this off, everything comes back, right? But all those sites have a different polygroup. So as these make changes, you can go through here and you can do a Boolean, make Boolean Mesh. That'll put out a U mesh out here. And now if we have X symmetry turned on, we have polygroups on all sides. And now when I do like a zero mesh halved size down to 0, keep groups, smooth groups down to 0, it'll give me a very, very nice clean result. We'll just keep hitting zero mesh half, get it as low as you feel like, and then there you go. So you have a nice base to kind of start your 3D modeling with. Now, again, that's ZModeler stuff. Hold on just a second. Which is not how I would start something. If I'm just designing something, you can toss all that out the window. Because what I'm probably going to end up doing, let's go ahead and delete this, and we'll just take this. So we're back with this shape here. I'm just going to be messing around. I'm just going to be goofing. So we're going to go through here, and again, Control W and delete lower here, here. So it's all fine and good to kind of go through, and I guess we'll just slice across here, and then we'll do a quick mirror and weld, X symmetry turned on. Just kind of get a base shape going, and then I might immediately just actually go in here and just say geometry dynamesh, and then go through and start, I don't know, whittling this thing down, holding down Control Shift, go in here to clip, and then we'll go to the side, and we'll maybe, I don't know, take this angle down or something like that. And in fact, if we want to turn on transform, activate symmetry in the Z-axis, so X symmetry is left and right, Z-axis is forward and back, we can kind of work on both sides, and maybe, this is kind of a weird shape, but we'll go ahead and start doing some weirdo stuff to this to kind of see if anything pops out at us to maybe be a cool thing to, I don't know, like I said, goof around with. And just keep zero meshing, dynameshing, go in here with maybe our trim adaptive, or I'm sorry, trim dynamic brush, and let's go through here and just start whittling down and seeing what we want our design to be. So we'll go ahead and pop this off and maybe put a little bevel along here. You could use Bevel Pro for this type of stuff, but again, if I'm just goofing, I don't want to have to be super slow and think too hard about what I'm making at this point. Although you should be thinking about what you're making so that it's something cohesive and coherent, and you know what you're trying to message to your audience. I don't really have anything here. I'm just kind of going through and making stuff. This is the ugly baby phase that's oh so uncomfortable to have on a live stream. So we can go ahead and say split mask points here, just using an insert cylinder, and then we can just go ahead and say, okay, let's plop a cylinder on here, and then maybe we can control drag that out. I like to keep things split, so we'll do a split mask points. We'll hold down Alt to scale along that axis here, and then this will kind of be something. And then if we want a chain on here, I might just go into, I mean, you can make an IMM chain brush. I'm not even going to be that fancy. I'm just going to go through here and we'll say split mask points, and we'll rotate this around and then raise it up. Oh, turn off X symmetry so we can hold down Shift, rotate that around. There we go. And you know what? Let's go to Unmatch Mesh Center, and I'm going to say shoot that to the middle of my world, just so I know it's down the middle. So there's the start of my chain. You know what we'll do? We'll bury half of that in there. And if I hold down Control and drag out, let's go ahead and say again, split mask points, and then we can hit W, go into your gear icon. We'll do a extender, and we can just go turn on polyframe. Go, yep, there we go. We got a nice chain here. Let's hit Control W and then uncrease all. If you want to insert an edge loop, you can with ZModeler. It might be faster. I don't know if it's faster, but slice curve, you can just go through here and you can slice in control loops on these things. Again, hit Control W, make it all one polygroup. D for dynamic, which is geometry, dynamic subdivision. Just Shift D to turn it off, D to turn it back on. And then we've got, you know, a chain. If you want a thicker chain, deformation inflate, you can push along that surface normal. You can also use ZModeler for that. Just Q mesh, polygroup all, just hold down Shift as you pull along that surface normal. So we have this one, and then we have this one. I'm gonna rotate it around. Again, you can feel free to make an IMM brush out of this. I'm not going to. Now that I have these, I can hold down Control and drag out, and then as soon as I hit a spot where I like it, let go of Control and keep dragging. And then that'll extend that chain out. So we have a chain. this, it's hanging something, and we gotta go grab a skull. So I'm gonna do a quick save, which is 9 on your keyboard, comma key, tool, anatomy model, wait for it. Let's say, so we got the skeleton on here. This is a good anatomy reference too, if you're ever wondering how things work. In fact, that comes up a bit too. If you go in here and say, we looked up at workstation, now we look up anatomy, and in here, all sorts of fun anatomy stuff we've done in previous live streams. So, man, this thing is sensitive as hell, ain't it? So check that out. So we want to still a skull. So here's the skeleton on here. So I'm going to say delete other. And again, I just want the skull. Let's take the whole skull and see if that's what we really need. So I'm going to grab all this. All I need to do is grab most of a piece, Control-Shift-A, which is visibility, grow. It's in here somewhere. Here it is. Visibility, grow all is super useful. And then also this one, grow to polygroups is also super useful. Control-Shift-Q. So put those in your back pocket. We have a skull on here. We can just append this wholesale, or you can go in here to, like, you know, B, create insert mesh, new, and now you have a skull insert mesh brush you can use. So whatever you want to use. So we got this one here. In our case, I think I will just append that skull here. It's got a bunch of extra skulls on it, which, I don't know, that could work. I kind of like that icon of sin look in his eyeballs. Yeah, okay, let's grab that. We'll do a metal album cover. Let's say delete hidden. So we've got a Zadlaw Zelinsky looking ornate skull thing happening, and we could use that to our advantage. We'll go ahead and rotate this down because it's Doom, right? And there we go. We'll scale this. Yeah, I want to see his face a little bit more, so maybe we need to put in a little support on here. I don't know. We're figuring it out as we go, right? So then we'll hop back over here and let's go into our Orbs Cracks brush. You can get this on the internet. And let's crank up that Z intensity a little bit. And let's say, let's smooth that out. And let's just kind of do a cut across here. Again, all this stuff I can rebuild. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing, right? If you want to sculpt through something, turn on transparency with Ghost, and then we can just hold down Alt, and we can kind of pull through here. If we want to sculpt up to that point, and maybe go into my clay brush, and we can build this up. You can also use brush trim, adaptive, hold down Alt on a flat surface. Well, adaptive will cut through, and then if you hold down Alt, it's not gonna, let me take this spot here. Okay, that kind of works. In this case, this is a little bit trickier, so I might just brute force this one, and we'll just go through here and we'll just clay build up, and then redynamesh, and then you can go to the side here, and again, just kind of build up this whole nasty surface here, and then just go back in with trim dynamic or H polish or clip, you know, whatever. And in fact, this is where when I start working on stuff and it's like, it'd be so much easier if this wasn't all part of the same piece, then I would split it off. But because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm gonna keep it all the same piece until I start figuring out, okay, what needs to be separated, what needs to go where. If I want to pull this out to a corner, you know, I can use move. So move brush with AccuCurve turned on. That's always helpful for this type of thing. So that way you can kind of pull out the really quick. That looks like a Cadillac. That might be kind of. Nah, I guess that probably wouldn't be very cool. So here we are. We're sculpting, and across multiple axes of symmetry, we're just trying to figure out like what this piece could be. And I don't know, I might still that wholesale. I don't really have a real strong opinion on any of this. So we just go through here and, I don't know, cut through some stuff and see, again, if anything comes out at us. We'll go back into clip curve, and we can just take little chunks out of here. You can use light Boolean like we did earlier if you'd like. And the other thing too, and this is something, if I would be prepared, I could do this, you know, come in with the story. But essentially it's like, okay, what is this, a chandelier that hangs from a ceiling and it needs to shine light on something? Is this a, I don't know, some sort of weird sci-fi, I don't know, something or other that needs to do something in particular, maybe pour something out of its mouth, in which case, you know, maybe we can build that in, and that can like drip gross things on unsuspecting Space Marines. So let me do this. So we'll grab a little piece of those, Control-Shift-A. We'll go ahead and say, you know, we'll do a delete hidden. And then we'll rotate this out a little bit here. And then we can put like a little faucet on here, right? So this will be a shower head. Okay, so what's a good way to do this? We'll do a cylinder right down the middle. And you know what? That skull here, I guess I can go on both sides, right? Let's do a, so here's our world axis. If I turn on my floor here, you'll see we're working just on the world axis. So I'm going to do a quick mirror and weld across the X and Z, and then we'll turn on X symmetry, which will activate symmetry, and we'll turn on X and Z for that symmetry as well. So that way, I don't know, we got something, right? And then we're going to go through here, and then I need a spout that's going to basically pour stuff. If I go into solo mode here, let's go to, let's turn off, this is going to be weird. Here's what I'm going to do. I can start sculpting. It's not going to be that weird. Let me do a quick split mask points to get these all separated out. Right now, if I go to Unmask Mesh Center, obviously it's going to go to, with nothing masked, it's going to go to its own axis. So what I want to do is, here's what I'm going to do. Turn off X symmetry. I'm just going to grab one of these things, say delete hidden, and I'm just going to say transform activate symmetry just in the X axis. So when I toggle X axis off, I can go to the middle of this object really quickly and play around with it. And then when I'm done, I can just mirror it over as needed. Just make my life a little bit easier. So we have the bottom of the spout here, and then let's say I want the spout to go up and then have a slight turn in right here. So I can just say, okay, that's where those need to go. And you could use a bend curve deformer for that if you'd like, but I'm going to go through here, say delete flat island, you go away, you go away. I'm going to bridge two holes, U to U, and I'm going to set in some curvature and hit Control W, make it all one polygroup. Now I got a gross little spout, and of course, we could put an entire hole through here. We could just do a quick group by normals, isolate this, delete hidden, Q mesh polygroup ball. We'll just pull this in. We'll say flip, and then crease PG, crease level of 2, smooth so div of 3, and now we got a little cute little pipe on here, and I can go through and change the thickness if I want. So I can grab again Q mesh polygroup ball, just hold down Shift as you want to grab that surface normal, and then hold down Shift and pull this in, whatever you want to do. So now we've got that, and we'll go ahead and shove that up in there. And it looks like it's got, I guess it's just an optical illusion from my bad sculpt. So we have our shower head here, and even through here, let's make this a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can't oversize this just a bit, and we'll say scooch this back here, and then down the middle, I'm gonna say Control Shift. Let's go in here to clip circle, and then I'm gonna say hold down, just so it kind of hold down Alt, and then I'll go through and clip in just a little space for that to kind of sit in. If I don't want it to go all the way up, I don't have to. I can say, you know what, just clip in until you get to, I don't know, maybe here or so. I'll go ahead and mask all this off. So again, at the bottom, Control Shift, and you can literally just stick with just the circle. And then again, before you let go, just, I guess I'll make it just a little bit bigger. Hold down Alt, there you go. Control drag, solo, and then that way, you can use Booleans for that too, but, and then we'll kind of integrate this a little bit better. So we're gonna hold down Alt with our Damien standard, or your X, what do we call it? Orbs cracks. You can use that. And again, we'll turn on transparency with Ghost, and we'll say you get a little built-in little nook in here, and we'll go back in with our clay brush and say, okay, this is where this is all gonna live. Damien standard brush here. A little bit of H polish maybe, just to kind of indicate that's an edge and this is an edge. And again, you can cut in panel lines if you want to. Go nuts. Let's up that resolution just a tiny bit on our Dynamesh there. I don't know what this is doing. You know, like this whole wing shape here, I'm kind of eyeballing some stuff, but I don't know that it's really doing me any favors in this particular instance. And again, this is the only bad thing about this is all designy stuff. And usually when I'm doing designy stuff, I like to sit and think. But when you're doing a live stream, you ain't got time to sit and think. You just got to go. So I'm going to hit Alt W, and I'm going to go. So I have my move brush here. I'm going to turn on backface masking under auto masking. So I've pulled out a shape, right? Then I can go through here and I can just add thickness to that shape really quickly. Just kind of pull from that back side there. And then you can control drag. Another thing you can try to do, and by try I mean you can absolutely just do this. So if we're using our move brush without backface masking turned on right now, as we pull up, you're going to see it's not going to go all the way back. You can go into depth, infinite depth, and we're looking in the Z direction. So as we pull up, it'll go all the way back. So that way, you know, as we're pulling up a shape here, it will go all the way back. And I'm just kind of using, again, move Acu, and it's going to be kind of gross, but we can go through and we can clip as needed. So again, with infinite depth turned on, we can keep things vaguely crispy, and then again you can hop back in here with clip curve, and you can say, give me a little bit shinier result there, and then we can go back on here with maybe our trim dynamic, sorry, and then just I don't know, put a little bevel on there, and then turn off infinite depth if you're not really thinking about it or you're not really using it, because it'll mess you up. Your move brush will start doing some weird stuff. You'll be like, why are you doing that? And then you realize you had infinite depth on the whole time. Okay, so I haven't looked over here in a while. Yes, I use Substance Painter, but not necessarily for fiber mesh. A lot of icons changed. Yeah, they did update it a little bit. If you want to have a little bit of fun with ZBrush and Substance Painter, there's this no UV 3D look dev. It's got, oh boy, a bunch of videos. And then there, if ZBrush Compositor has a new button on there in the new version, go down there and click that. So check that out. And yeah, I don't know. This is a really fun one, and you don't even need, all it does is bake everything down to a plane. You can throw that into Substance Painter and then just bake on a plane. So again, one more time, you can check that video out there. And if I miss anything, I apologize. Keep shouting it out. I'm a human, I think. Making trees. No. I mean, there's a cool plugin that I haven't used in a long time, but it's basically a Zsphere tree plugin. It'll go through trees with the script ZTree plugin. You can check this out. Basically a plugin for using Zspheres to create trees. I haven't used this in 10 years easily, so I don't know if it's still a thing, but you can check that out. Cool. Trees. It seems like a little complicated mesh. How would you retopologize this for a low poly? Well, I got you covered there. So if we go in here to retopology, there's we'll cover all the techniques, but there's Z-spheres, there's extrude edges from ZModeler, there's a topology brush, or a combination of all three, or you can export it and use whatever program you'd like. Cool. Medallion area edge cleaner, crisper, but the rest belongs to Destination Master. Yes. So again, we're just kind of just goofing. So let's up the complexity on this thing. So if I want to clean up some of these shapes and kind of play with them separately, we can go through here. We can say, okay, give me this on my shower head. I'm just going to take this whole piece here. I'm going to say split hidden. And then if you want to, you can read Dynamesh and it'll do this to you. What I'm going to do instead, let's do down here underneath masking, we can say mask our open border, maybe even grow it a little bit, control tap to invert that. We'll do a polish by features, open circle just to smooth that out a little bit. And what's an easy way we can do this? You know, we'll do a edge loop, group loops, no polish, loops of 1 maybe. That'll just put a little group on the outside of here. So that way it'll close a little bit nicer. You can also use move and stuff to kind of do that, or even live booleans if you wanted to really cut that out nicely. But anyway, we have this thing, and now we want to clean it up and play with this a little bit more, right? So now that we have our basic weirdo shape, we can go through here and be like, okay, this is what we kind of want. And then we'll go back in here and we'll start playing around with this. So, I don't know, this is just a weird thing. I apologize. It's one of those things where I'm thinking more about what I want to cover more so than the actual object here. So another thing too is, we get these corners here. Again, just move brush with backface masking turned on, and you can just kind of pull in and then control drag. That's the quick and easy fix. And then you can go in here with H polish, hold down Alt and just H polish up. No problem. Shift, maybe shift with a little Sculptures Pro. Clean these up, these little ratty edges on there. And we're good to go on that one. And then this one here, same thing. You could even bridge these if you really wanted to. But I wonder if we did, because I don't really care too much about this mesh, if we were just to go in here to panel loops 1, polish off, nope, not panel loops, group loops 1, no polish here. And we say maybe take this one here, let's say mask W, let's go to unmesh, mesh center, scale. Again, this is like the super quick and dirty, nasty version. I'm just trying to close gaps here. And then you can go back in here with clip or knife brush and just clean up. Oh man, I did, I don't know what I did there, but we'll just do a quick mirror and weld, X symmetry turned on, and we got a shape. And now I can start playing around with, maybe make this a little thinner. We'll get some depth changes in here. I actually kind of like how this doesn't, it has a little space on there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to say hold down Control, Alt, and we'll just pull this down here and maybe scale it in. So we'll just continue this down in. Maybe that'll latch over this bottom part here a little bit. And we can even pull down all these things. We'll go in here to move multiple, Control Shift drag over what we want, and then just pull everything down, and then turn off move multiple. There we go. And then if I do want this latching thing to happen, I can say Alt tap this one. I'm going to hold down Shift, shoot it to the bottom. Alt tap this one, Shift, shoot it to the bottom. I'm going to duplicate this off, so that when I'm just messing around with these, and again we're just goofing, we can go in here to live Boolean and I can just cut that in and be like, okay, that's basically the shape I'm looking for that piece. Now this is a live Boolean. I'll have to go down here to make a Boolean mesh. Since this has Dynamesh already turned on, if I merge this down, you're going to see this turns it into a white subtool, which I can control drag and I'll just Dynamesh that out of there. So Shift, smooth, let's turn down our smooth intensity since we're working so low res, and turn everything else back on. Same thing on there. All right, and again, you're gonna see me being like, oh, let me look at this design in the round, like I'm actually thinking about stuff. But just between you and me, I'm not thinking that much. So how do we integrate this? Do we want to cut in? Do we want to hold down Alt and pull out? I'm thinking Alt to pull out to kind of give us a little bit of, like, this thing is actually a separate material or a separate object that's embedded into this one. We could also maybe just mask instead of brute forcing geometry. So we can go through here. Yeah, let's go in here with this brush here, and we'll say, give me the top part of the head. Control tap to invert that. And then W, we'll just kind of move this out and maybe scale it in just a little bit. We'll turn off X symmetry. There we go. And then turn it back on. And now we've got a little head here, and we can maybe rotate this around just to kind of give him a little something. We'll maybe go in here with our move brush, turn off backface masking. That's under your brush auto masking. And then we got this, control drag, go in here to H polish, and I don't know, we got something. Now, we need something to do with this thing. It's just silly. So we can, let's go here. Let's go Alt-E-M, which is my hotkey to go to my custom menu brush. I'm going to go into my cylinder, mid cylinder here. We're going to go to the top just drag this off. We'll say split mask points, and I'm just going to kind of play around with this. So I don't have to do everything in Sculpty land. I can go through here and I can do stuff like, we'll just do a, let's run a, I like to have my crease groups visible. So I'll just do a group by normals. We'll do a crease PG. We'll hit D for dynamic. And then we'll just kind of go through here, turn on transparency maybe, and we'll kind of play around with a shape that we can knife later. And we can start with something a little bit nicer. You know what, let's scale this up just a little bit here. So we'll kind of get just a little swoop down from here, and it'll kind of meet up with this thing here. So again, let's go in here to dynamic apply. That'll give me that real geometry. And if you want predictable real geometry, you can go in here and say, get zero measure half, keep groups, smooth groups down to 0. And then that'll kind of even your geo out, and then just do another crease poly group, Control D a couple times, delete lower. And now you have generally predictable geometry, which we're going to destroy right now. So transparency, we'll just do a quick slice across the top here. And then, yeah, that's going to hook through here. And then that can have a couple of like gears carved out of it maybe. And you know what, let's go back into let's turn off X symmetry, go into our deformer, because we have a bunch of geo here now, but we know we can use the deformer to go through here, and we can, let's turn on symmetry in the X. And we just want this one here. Symmetry mirror is what? Mirror is 2, sorry. Okay, and I need a little more resolution, so I'm going to say you get, maybe just 1. So Control Alt Drag, sorry. We're going to take this top part here, and we're just going to scooch that out a little bit. Okay, that gets here, goes underneath, it hangs. I don't know, I'm grasping at straws here. This can go down and over. I don't know. We can hang some cloth from it. It'll get all drippy. Ew, nothing grosser than drippy cloth, right? And that's when you know the real hell demons are messing with you, when they put gross drippy cloth on you. Okay, so we got this. And then again, like I said, we can do a little gears thing here. Let's do a quick mirror and weld, X symmetry turned on. And then this piece here, I'm going to go ahead and just delete that out of there. And then this piece here I did generally like, so let's see if I can take, not in love with anything here. That's the other thing too, is if you're just moving and grooving, you're not being too precious, like, oh, let me Z-modeler all this. If you need to delete it and go like, okay, that is not working, then you just delete it. It's no big deal. If you put a lot of time in it, you'll start convincing yourself that it's good and it needs to stay. I promise. So, okay, we have this. Let's move this up here. This will be like a little embedded thing. This looks like very heavy, so we can go through and we can maybe punch some holes in here with Spotlight. Oh, thank you. Let's see. Here's the thing. If you want to, I guess knife curve might actually work. Let's mirror that. Oops. Go through here. If it starts being a little weird on you, hey, I'll have a trick for you, but it seems to be working okay. Here, and then maybe punch a hole through here. Let's go ahead and hit Z, and let's see if there's any cool hole punching shapes we have. And of course, you can also hop in here to Spotlight. There's multiples in here, so we'll just double click this one here. And then hit, again, just tap and then scooch over. You won't have to do that. I'm working at a very low resolution. And then we can just go, here's a good one. Just pull this out of here, rotate it around. You could even go through here and you can extend this way. So you can extend the alpha as opposed to the geometry if you want. But when you're ready, you can just hold down Alt, tap. That'll turn on Live Boolean for you. So now we've got this shape. And then we can kind of go through here and we can play around with punching some shapes here, something like that, maybe, right? And oh, okay, and nice. Okay, so we've got this here. Now this one, again, I want it to actually do something, so I'm going to hide everything except for these parts here. That's going to be semi-problematic. So you know what I'm going to do? Because I don't, if I do, you know, I'm not going to zero mesh this. I'll just clean it up later. So we have this here. I'm going to go in here again, make Boolean Mesh. And then I have two working meshes in here that are visible. So I'm going to insert that U-mesh result right down here. I don't need these working meshes anymore. Just delete us. And then we're going to go in here and I'm going to do a quick mirror and weld, X symmetry turned on. And then there we go. So we got some weirdo shapes going. So we've updated that. And again, this one, you know what? I'm just going to Dynamesh this. I don't even care. Control W. Okay, so now let's think about carving this thing up. So we're going to go through here and we're going to cut in some shapes so we can get some layer differentiation. And I'm also going to turn on X symmetry, which is going to be transform, activate symmetry in the X and Z. So again, just to kind of get some visual interest going, okay, let's do this. So I guess it's Damien standard to kind of cut in here, and we'll kind of treat this like maybe an axe head or sci-fi axe head or something like that. So we're going to go here and then maybe down. And then trying to think of where a good cutoff might be. We can go through here and just kind of play. Again, we're just goofing. I'm going to keep saying that. You know what? That might actually be okay for our purposes, for our live stream purposes here. I don't know. Okay, fine. Okay, so we've got this here. So let's go ahead and slice and dice this up a little bit. Let's do this. Let's do a duplicate. So I can use my knife brush. I'm going to turn off X symmetry, and then just real quick, I'm just going to say you go, and you go. That's one. And then down here, we're going to duplicate this off again, go into solo mode here. Again, X symmetry turned off because I'm just going to get rid of all this nonsense. Say you all go and you go away. So we got a little piece here, here, and then here. We're going to do the opposite. So again, just go in here and say, okay, now you're gone. Although, you know what I could do? Let's be precise about this. Precise, like I'm actually doing anything worthwhile. So we're going to go through here. We're going to try off solo mode. I've already cut these pieces out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to merge this one down. And then we've just got, we'll scoot this one up. So here we're just dealing with these two, right? I'm going to take these ones and we're going to scale it out and maybe do a slight inflate. We'll do an inflate of like 1, 1, 1. Then again, we'll just do a live Boolean mesh. Hey, great. So this one, we'll go ahead and, it's already got Dynamesh turned on. So if I, again, merge this down, control drag Dynamesh, mirror, and weld. There we go. So now we got our working pieces here, everything sliced out of each other. And now we can go through here and be like, okay, I want this piece to be thinner. And then I want this piece to be thicker, not thinner, even thinner. And it looks like when I did that Boolean, I have some nonsense hanging out here. No problem. Remember back when we were doing our Control-Shift-A, visibility, grow all, grab a little piece of this one, Control-Shift-A. All that garbage is in that invert selection. So geometry, modify topology, delete hidden, and you're good to go. Now, I don't like this little piece here, and I don't like this little piece here. So again, X symmetry is turned off, and we don't really need it. So I'm going to say, as soon as it goes in there, terminate. As soon as it goes in here, terminate. Mirror, and weld, X symmetry. And again, this is X symmetry in the X and Z direction. So same thing for here. These ones you can just do mirror and weld and X. Okay, so now W, scale. You can kind of even maybe push these back in a little bit here. Sorry. Yeah, okay. We're good. And now we can go through and we can do maybe a little clip, re-Dynamesh on this one, go to the side here and, oops. Clip on there, blah, blah, blah. Mask and whatever we want to do. We want to put a little bevel on here. Instead of sculpting a bevel, we can start slicing in a bevel here. Let's go ahead and again, Control Shift, grab a little piece, Control Shift A, delete hidden. So we've got our showerhead anchor, demonic doom prop, and then I don't know. We can do whatever to that. Flat price Adobe. I have no idea. I'm just an enthusiastic young man about ZBrush. I'm not part of the. I don't even work for him. I'm just here having fun. Female modeler, accessories for girls, dedicated to making female models. Some of your tips would help me a lot. Yeah, and one of the, young female is about, you can usually hide. Go back here. You can hide a lot of stuff behind surface detail or wrinkles or alien shapes, but when you're doing, a female, you can't really hide behind that. So really what your focus is going to be on is not necessarily the surface. Obviously they still have details, but it's going to be about the volumes and the proportions. So making sure that your forms and your volumes and proportions are correct, and then you're kind of done. So it's not harder or easier. It's just, you got to do that part right, and you can't cover it up with a bunch of wrinkles and stuff. Radial symmetry with gems. On the sculpt you're doing now, it would be the best way is making your sculpt into jewelry. Radial symmetry with gems. We would have to have a spot with radial symmetry, which we could do. So here, let's say I want to scale this out a little bit here, and let's say, let's go ahead and throw in a bevel here. And then, you know what? Just to have this punch through, I'm going to do a quick inset polygroup all legacy polygroup island. I'm going to pull this in here, so that's generally where that's going to go. And then, we'll pull in another one just a little bit here, and then we'll say Q mesh polygroup all. Hold down Shift, push that down. Crease PG, crease level 2, smooth subdiv 3. Y'all know the drill by now, and that's where we're going to crease tolerance 2. And let's do an inset here so we can get some control loops. Oops, forgot. This bottom one here doesn't have one. If you want to, you can also just do a quick group by normals. That'll regroup everything, and depending on that max angle, you can drop it down to capture everything you need. So now when I do an inset here, that'll put in my control loops. Anyway, yeah, we could do a crease PG. That's fine. D, yay. So if we wanted to put, radial symmetry on here and punch holes on it, we definitely could. That's going to be underneath transform. We're in the world axis, which is nice. So we can say activate symmetry in the Y radial count. And now we can go through here and we can say Shift D, inset all polygons here. No, into single poly, sorry. Nope, that's not going to work either. Alt. So we're doing this one. Okay, fine. Inset polygroup all. Boy, it really doesn't want to work, does it? I should be able to do every other one. Anyway, so there's radial symmetry. As far as gems, I did make a diamond for that tool chest. Not tool chest. What was that? This thing. So if you're talking about making the gem specifically, okay, I think I went over it there, but I think I got a little piece of it here. Yeah, these little diamonds in here. Emeralds and stuff is easier. This was started with just a cylinder, I think, or a cone. Get out of here, ads. A cone, extrude it up, go through and split some faces, triangulate, slice, and then this one is just knife brush for like an emerald, and then just nano mesh to kind of scatter them around. Yeah, and then if you wanted to insert those in radial symmetry, I assume this would work. Not sure why it wouldn't. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Now we'll turn on LSym so we can do local axis symmetry on here. So if you want to embed jewels, encrusted jewels in there, let's say split mass points, and then Now it is radial symmetry on an object, so if you had, you know, an object that was like over and off an off axis, you'd probably have to use nanomesh for that, and that gets complicated. Doable, but complicated. Spotlight method, thick skin on. Will it punch through the whole geometry? Only the thick skin. It's not, thick skin is only for like storing a state of your geometry. So thick skin, for those who don't know, you can Google ZBrush thick skin. So if I want to go through here and like punch in a layer on here, you're going to see my clay buildup does this. You can go in here and you can say, let's up this resolution just a bit. There we go. You can say, I don't even know where it is, thick skin. Turn this on, it stores that state, and then you can dial in the amount of thickness that your object has. So as you go through here, it'll cap out here. So you can go through and be like, okay, I want to hold down Alt and punch in a little detail on here. And you can use this with any brush. It's turned on, so if I switch over to like the standard brush, crank up that Z intensity, turn off lazy radius by tapping L, you can literally go in here and you can just start sculpting on here and it'll maintain that layer. You can also use a layer brush with a morph target, but this is just a little more freeing to kind of go through and just kind of dial in your thick skin. Also kind of useful for brush cloth hook. So you can use the cloth brushes on this, and instead of, we have thick skin turned off, it's going to take your entire mesh and just kind of do that. If you have thick skin turned on with just a little influence on the surface, you can kind of push cloth across a surface. You can use that for like reptile skin and stuff like that. Again, if you Google thick skin, you'll probably see my in-depth videos on that. I think that was at ZBrush 2022, 2021, maybe 22, I forget. Yeah, okay, yeah, we don't need a shower head. We can turn this into an axe, right? Let's see. Let's go in here to, yeah, if we don't need that. I'm trying to see if there's an easy way, because yeah, I could taper, it's basically taper clip those down and turn it into something cool. Think about it. I wouldn't take that long to go in Unreal. If you want to do it right, yeah, you have to go and retopologize and it's boring. But if you just decimate this down, you can throw it in Unreal in 5 minutes. In fact, I do that a ton. Most of what I do on here, go to my, trying to think of recent examples here. These, I think this was all just, yeah, this was just decimated meshes, throw it into Substance. And once it's in Substance and you have textures, you can just, again, throw it into Unreal. If you want something a little more broken down step by step, I want to say, here, I'll link this here, and you can dive in here. And if you go to the sci-fi weapon process and then also the speed modeling and texturing, make the model real quick, decimate it down, throw it in. Again, if you want it perfect, of course you'll have to go through the real steps. But if you don't care and you just want to get something in quickly to test things out, ZBrush Summit 2018, if you want to hear me talk about that for an hour and change and then do some demo stuff, it's basically that. Here's a bunch of character, armor, equipment, and weapon stuff. Again, these are just concept proxies, take you a couple, I mean, these ones probably take a couple days to do, but some of it, you get it, whatever you can get done in a day, you throw it in Engine and then the designers run around with it. And then if they're all happy with it, then you can take it to the next step. Again, so it's easy to kill. You don't have to worry about it, you know. So I'll link that to you specifically. In fact, I think I even have, let's steal. Okay, let's do a little bit of kit bashing. If I can find it. Do I not have him? I might have deleted them. Damn. I mean, we still can. Legacy. Drone, handgun, recon. Oh, dang it. Not on this computer. Sorry, everybody. Shoot, that would have been fun. Okay, speaking of kit bash, let's go and look at what we have here. So this one, we have a little thing built in here. We don't need thick skin turned on anymore. We have this in here. Again, we can keep going through and you know, I could replace this piece. This could all be one solid piece that's separate here. And then let's go through here and we'll say, hold down Control, mask pin. We need something to kind of latch on. Go to the side here. And then this one here, we'll kind of pull this out, scooch this around. And then I feel like this is missing something. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to just grab a cube right down the middle, say split mass points, turn off X symmetry, move this over here. I'm going to scale this up and in. Yeah, maybe out first, because I'm going to take this corner here and we're going to scooch it over. Something here to here to here. Move this in. Okay. So again, I just want to work on these two. Sorry, this is bugging me in the corner here. But here's an example. Yeah, just these concept proxies in game. Super fast and easy. So we have this. This is at the bottom. And this is at the bottom here. And then we have live Boolean here turned on. Make sure there's nothing radically disastrous going on. And there kind of is. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let me anchor this side here, and I'm going to scooch you out. There you go. Generally clean cut, generally clean cut. So you merge down, redynamesh, mirror, mirror and weld, X symmetry to back on. Of course, it never left. There we go. So all right, all right, all right. Okay. Let's see. Gotta go back up to the top here. Any question? Sci-fi robotic joints and piston works. I'm trying to make a mechanical android. I really want to make models that work grounded in reality. I got some notes for you, maybe. Mechanical terminology and examples. You can go through here. I don't know if it has joint specifically, but we can say copy this link here. You can check out some notes. It's about lightweighting mostly in this particular example, and also through the years. If you want to do something that's grounded in reality circa 1932 versus something that's grounded in reality circa 2028, you know, you can kind of use some of this, you know, generative design versus the old school plate stuff. So we have this here. The tube in his mouth is to drip things. Now, if you're thinking through you're mind mapping this problem, you might be thinking, okay, where is this coming from? You know, there's a chain here, and then there's a tube with stuff. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't know, maybe you have to rethink that, or put in some wires coming down, which might be kind of cool. Speaking of kit bashing and joints, I think I do have something on joints in here. Joints. Fast rigging animation, of course. There we go. Kit bash organization. I don't know. There might be some joint stuff in here. Mechanical hinges. Different types of joint hinges. I don't know. Maybe you like this. Good luck. But, you know, that gets back into the kit bashing thing. So if we go in here to my comma key, or if we want to even hop into, that might be kind of fun. Let's go into, we're going way outside here. Yes, library. What would we look for? It would be something like, whoa, sorry, that's probably burning out your eyeballs, isn't it? Thanks, Bright White Fusion 360. What year is this? Okay, so we got that there. This is a cool mechanical arm. Robot gripper. Show in folder. So we can make something in Fusion 360, or if we just want some shape ideas, 7-zip extract. Now, obviously, don't just take somebody's work and throw it in the ZBrush and render it and say, hey, I made this. Also, don't just take something off of GrabCAD, throw it into your game and go, hey, publish this in our game. That's bad news. I wouldn't suggest doing that. But what I'm going to do, since I'm just doing a live stream, let's go into our thing here. Here's another cool thing too. So we have a little robot gripper with a lot of cool shapes we can check out. How do I remember how to use this? And then we can go in here. There's even like an insert. You mechanical people might like this. McMaster car component. So if we want a specific screw, we can go in here and say, I want a flathead screw that is vibration resistant flathead screw, 6/32 1/4 inch. Let's go down here and we'll say, just drop that right into our scene file. So if you're ever modeling anything that needs to have this exact component, or if you want to use it as part of your kitbash library, there you go. There's your screw. So there's that. And then also in here, let's see if they got anything else cool. Let's go way down to the bottom here. Tank fittings, tube benders, tube fittings, pipe fittings, pulleys, chains. Chains are kind of cool. Let's see if there's any cool chains. Heavy duty chains, little different. Oh, chain, steel, roller. Let's grab alignment tools. I don't know. I've never actually grabbed a chain on here. Let's just grab it. Chain connecting link. Adding a connecting link. 12B, right? Sure. I don't know what that means. If it'll let me. Length. Oh, sorry. 4 feet. Why not? Yes. Cool. And we'll scooch this out of the way. Okay. So we've got a couple pieces in here. I'm going to go to the very top here, and we're just going to say export. No, not export. Save as mesh. And then if you, so the refinement here is going to change your normal deviation. So under refinement options, that's where, so on high, basically the lower this number is, the smoother the roundness of your object's going to be. High should be fine. We'll say OK. It's going to export as an STL file. You can change that format if you'd like. ZBrush can read STL files just fine. Oh, there we go. On our desktop. Save it. Okay. Oh, sorry. That wasn't quite done. Go out of live Boolean, go out of edit mode. Do a quick save just for fun. Control N to clear our canvas. Go in here to import from our desktop. Yay. So here's a couple things we can check out. Also, if I go into my kitbash library here, brush, hard surface kit, stop moving here, and I go into like joints. Okay, I think I have a couple different joints files, but we'll take this one for example. So we've got joints and we've got that thing here. So if I wanted to put joints in here and go in here to, you know, let's say we wanted this to kind of rotate down and around. So I can go in here and we just need a simple pivot joint in here. So you can just grab something from here and kind of maybe make it look interesting. So we'll go ahead and say, I'll tap this one here. We'll put in one of these. We'll say split mass points. And I think I just need a little piece of this one. So we'll say delete hidden. In fact, we don't even need all this stuff on the back here. We'll just do one. So we can position this in here. And then this piece, I can just slide along there. I'm going to go ahead and split that out so I can goof around with it. So we're going to move this into the middle here. Go into transparency. And this is another interesting one. If you wanted to go through here, let's go to Unmash Mesh Center here. An extender might come in handy. So we'll go into extender and we can just pull from the middle, and that'll keep our geometry good. Is that good English? There you go. So now we've got kind of a little roly thing with a little latch here, so we can say set the pivot and can, and we have a little robot thing. So and then mirror and weld that around. Okay, now back to this thing here. Yeah, we got a little grabber hand, and it grabs around a Starbucks cup or something like that. And then also this chain that we got from McMaster Car, and then also this thing. So again, if you wanted to just grab this piece here, split hidden, go into solo mode, you've already got one BI brush insert industrial parts here. So if I want to say this was a, what was it? Flathead something, we could say B create insert mesh append. Okay, so now you have all these pieces and you have a flathead object. So if you want to go through here and just kind of, you can hold down control and that'll snap it to your brush size. So if you want to go through here and just insert all these things. Of course, if you want them to be embedded in your object, just go down here to depth, we'll say 0. There we go. So now this will be embedded. If you want to embed it a little bit more, just drag that depth down a little bit more. So so there's that, and then this chain is interesting because I think we can just take this, say split hidden, and then can we turn this into a, let's go in here to auto groups, no, but yeah, these are all stuck together. I should have gone into the bodies and split these up, but you can create an IMM brush out of these and do whatever you'd like with those settings. This one should be okay. I think it had separate bodies to begin with, so I think we're in good shape. The Starbucks cup I don't know that we'll need, so I can go ahead and just say Control Shift and delete hidden. And anything in particular you might want to take wholesale, just to kind of, again, just to kind of goof. So that here, delete hidden. I guess that's fine. And then if I want to draw this onto something, again, I can turn this into an insert mesh brush. It's not too heavy, so it's not too bad. You can rebuild some of the stuff. So for instance, if we want to take this little piece here and say split hidden, you can see that it's not overly usable, but remember you can go in here to group by normals. And in fact, if we turn on X symmetry, turn on L sim, what direction are we looking at? There's our, we're in across the X axis. So we want to do symmetry in the Z and Y. Symmetry in the Z and Y direction. Okay. And then let's do a quick mirror and weld in the Z and Y. Okay, so that's not too bad. So let's say we want to rebuild this. So first we group by normals, then we figure out what axes, repeated axes we're on. Then we say maybe zero mesh half, dot size down to 0, keep groups, move groups down to 0. Bloop, there we go. Maybe same. You can kind of dial in the resolution you want. So now we've got this thing rebuilt. We can say crease PG, crease level of 2, smooth so div of 3, and we have a nice rebuilt piece. Maybe even crease level of 1. Yeah, look at that. Nice little fall off, all nice and rebuilt. So if you want to put this in your kit bash library, again, just kind of goof around, you can. Or you can just, again, just merge that down and say B, create insert mesh, new. Heading on back here, and you know what? This is a chain. Maybe there's chains throughout this thing, and we want to go through and, I don't know, put a little hand grabber in here. Again, I wouldn't normally take anything like this wholesale. This will be on Mars. Maybe they have. Let's find something flat here. They have a little claw game. You can go through and test out how good you are at grabbing stuff. So maybe this will be a couple claws. Let's see, mirror and weld across we're in the Z axis now. L sim turned off because we want to do it across the world. And in fact, we might even be able to take this chain here, duplicate this off. You know what? A little more of a delicate chain on here. And again, we'll just do a quick mirror and weld. Z. And if we don't, we've got some extra links on here. We can just say Control Shift, grab a little piece of, I guess we want to keep that one, right? So Control Shift A, Geometry Modified Poly Delete hidden. So now we've got a little claw grabbing game. Doom style. Let's go ahead and just do, and in this one too, we could use array mesh, but I think we'll just keep it simple. You know what? I think X and Z for all these is probably going to be fine. Not that this makes a tremendous amount of sense. I don't know why it would need to have something that would flip right there, but just showing examples of grabbing stuff and moving them around. Oh, good. All right. And of course, I can't. Okay, block user. Okay, hopefully that person's blocked. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. Hope you're doing well. Cool. Blocked user. Okay. Say a few words about principal artist position. I understand it's unique for every company, but still curious about your opinion experience. Principal artist. I was a principal artist for a minute. Then I'm on the management side. I mean, anything on the IC track is going to be, you know, you start out as a, you know, an associate artist or something like that. You're basically very focused on an asset, and then as you go up and then you become a senior artist, you're kind of your project focused. So it's like, hey, I'm a senior artist on this project, and then you can, there's some leadership expectations and ability expectations based on the project, and then it's become lead. That's still project based, but then again, it's like, okay, on the L5, you know, senior advanced character artist or something like that. As soon as you get into like principal, it becomes, I in my opinion, or at least how I ended up working, was it was less focused on a project and more focused on the studio. So the higher up you went on the IC track or on the management track, you go from, you know, managing an asset to managing a project to managing a studio or a studio's worth of projects. Principal was like setting up pipelines for the entire, you know, helping set up pipelines for the entire studio and not just a project. And then, you know, cross-functional communication between not just the people on the project or the people on your team, but also a cross-functional communication between upstream and downstream departments like concept and art direction, and then even design, you know, narrative, visually messaging effectively. You know, narrative is awesome in that it kind of helps you answer questions. So it's like if there's a narrative, again, it doesn't have to be like, hey, we're telling the story visually on from the page to the screen. That may or may not work depending on what you're making, but you can use that to answer questions. So if there's like, hey, we're making this thing, how do we make it? What is its function? Well, look at the narrative and go, okay, story-wise, this narrows down our scope, so it allows a little bit more focus. And then you know, walk that through with the gameplay expectations, mechanics, and making sure that anything you do in the art side is enhancing that experience. So there's all of that. But again, on the principal side, it's not necessarily for the project, it'd be for the studio. So it'd be anything, and also external facing too, in my case, like as me as a principal artist was, you know, developing and how relationships with external partners and doing GDC talks or Zbrush Summit talks or talking to students at colleges and stuff. So I have a certain affinity. Yes. McMasterCard thing, a plugin for Fusion or something. You can just go on McMasterCard.com, I think. That was while I was in Fusion, I just grabbed it from there. ZRemesh on these middle parts here. I wouldn't use ZRemesh on these. So if I was like, okay, I want to just, how much time we got? Okay, we got time. We got 30 whole minutes. That's a lifetime on the Pavlovich workshop. So we're going to go through here and we're going to say, grab this little piece here, and this is the housing for the skull. So we're going to go ahead and pop this off. We can keep refining this. So this is just a refining process, and you could start popping in cylinders or anything in here you want to do. I'm just going to go ahead and say split mask points, and yeah, let's just Dynamesh this, and then okay, so that's all separate. And then here you might want to do also a close holes operation first, so you can hit W, Control Tap, and then Control Drag out And in fact, if you want it even smoother, you can do, I think there's a macro you can get that'll do this, but just to show you the manual steps, masking border, invert that mask, and then polish by features. And then now when you close holes, hit W, control tap that poly group, control drag out. That'll give you a nice smooth. And in fact, you could even take, if you do control shift tap, control shift X to expand, control W, you could even polish by features, or while this is just visible, just polish by features that. So again, it's just going to be a Dynamesh anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. But if you wanted a slightly cleaner way to execute on that, you can. And then we just go through here and just smooth or H polish this down. I'm not much of a finesse guy in ZBrush, but you get the point. Okay, so there's that, and then there's this piece. So let's say I want to kind of rebuild this piece, and then play around a little bit more with ZModeler, because it is kind of a semi-complicated piece. And in fact, if you're going to manufacture this, you're not going to just throw this into the foundry and get a giant machined piece out of here, right? It's probably going to be something like, let's do some Booleans on this. That'll be fun, right? Okay, so on the top here, I'm going to grab a cube, split mask points, W. I'm going to turn off X symmetry because we're going to do it on one side. So I'm going to grab a little cube, and we're going to use this as a cutting mechanism. So in order to see what I'm cutting, I'm going to hold down Shift, shoot that to the bottom, and Shift, shoot this to the bottom, hide. And then this one, we're going to say, doesn't really matter if we mirror and weld this. And in fact, I'm going to simplify this. Insert single edge loop. I thought I did just a cube. Dang it. Okay, so we have our cutting mesh here, and I'm going to use this as just like a panel slice. So we want to go all the way through the object, I think, for now. So let's go, if we just hold down Alt and tap on the top here and go into transparency mode, we can say, okay, slice all the way through my object. Now, if I want to slice just through, oops, let's turn off Dynamesh, don't want it. Control Alt, pull through, we can just say, okay, slice through my object here. But if I want to follow the shape or maybe do something more interesting, we can say W, control drag out, that'll pull in a poly group here. And in fact, let's go to the end here, Alt tap, there we go. So we're at the end of this polygon. So now if I control drag out and we want to maybe rotate this around, and then control drag out and rotate this around, and then, just, I guess, shoot that to the end here. So we can use this as a cutting tool. I'm going to say quick mirror and weld. Oops. Mirror and weld across the x-axis. So now if I go out of transparency and ghost and go into live Boolean with subtractive, we can use this as a cutting tool through this object. Of course, we can do that on the X and Y mirrored side. Here. That's interesting. So now I'm just going to kind of push this around and make sure it's not going to do anything super bizarre. And in this case, I might want to say, you know what, you need to be scooted down just a tiny bit here. And maybe you can be scooched here. All right. And again, if you want to, you could mirror and weld this, but we'll just go ahead and say, okay, this is generally what we're looking for. So now here's an interesting thing. Maybe I'm gonna hit Control W on this one. You know what? I'm not even gonna use, I guess I can use, I'm not gonna use Dynamesh for this. So here I'm gonna say make Boolean Mesh, and then we're going to append, since we're at the bottom anyway, our U mesh here. So if I go down and grab our U mesh, go into solo mode, I'll have two separate parts here. We'll have this little piece here. Again, just Control Shift A, split hidden, and then you'll have, we don't need our working meshes anymore, so we can just delete these out of our scene there. And then this one here, if we do a quick mirror and weld across the, oops, across the Z axis. So first mirror, and then mirror and weld. That'll give us that middle chunk, and we can clean that up real quick. We'll just use knife curve. My mistake. And then this one here, we'll do a quick mirror and weld here. Turn everything else back on. And then, so we got these two big old pieces, and then this thing would probably need to be split up. But let's talk about refining this shape. And this is a little ambiguous. So if I was to go in there now and rebuild this, you know, this probably would be kind of weird. So I'm just going to kind of clean this up just a tiny bit just to say, like, hey, I want an edge here. I want an edge there. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be a little more representative of what I'm looking for. Oops. There you go. X symmetry turned on. And, you know, working on a prop in the X and Z is kind of a hassle. So I might just do, you know, one side and then mirror it over at the very end. I don't have to be working in the round necessarily for this stupid design, but you get the point. Okay, so if we want to play around with this a little bit more really quickly, let's just go through here and this is still not up to par. It's not integrating enough. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in here with our Damon Standard brush. This kind of punches in here. So you can even flatten stuff out. You can kind of Z scale, turn on L sims, run on that local axis here. We can just Z scale this back. And that'll kind of flatten this out here. And do we not crank this up here? And this and that, we can play around. And again, I'm not necessarily looking at this to be like, okay, let's go to final. This is more, let's just refine the shape a little bit. And I could go through and sculpt, but I think what I'll end up doing real quickly is just do a real quick pass. Even that could just be an alpha stamp. That's probably extraneous. So anything that's extraneous, I can just go back and rebuild. But let's go through, and I'm just going to do a quick insert Zsphere real quick. I'm just going to have these two showing. We'll turn on X symmetry. I'm not going to worry about X and Z symmetry in this case, just X. We're going to scale this down and scooch it out of the way here. And then I'm going to say, go to my Z-spheres, turn all that off. And then if you want to know more about that, I got tons of videos on it. So we're editing topology. Let's do a little mid-gray. Let's go in here to Matcap Pearl, and we're just going to go right from the bottom here. And we're just going to kind of rebuild this shape just so we have something cleaner to kind of work with. So it kind of goes over and then up. I'm going to ignore this stamp for now, and we're just going to kind of go in. So again, just kind of rebuilding. Let's go a little darker so we can see a little bit better. Here, down the middle, up, over, W to move, and then we'll just go up here. So again, if I need to hold any edges or any shapes or anything like that, I can, but in this case, I think it'll be pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple shape. So here, up and over. We'll do this for this and then the head housing. And again, depending on how much time you want to spend figuring out, you know, going through and sculpting and spending time, for sure, I would definitely recommend doing that. For what we're doing here for a live stream, it's kind of boring. It would be, basically it's boring to watch me go through the design process. I don't like doing it because it's just a bunch of empty silence. When I'm live streaming, it's more technique based, so it keeps me engaged and the audience engaged, I suppose, but keeps me talking. So we're going to go through here, and you know what, I'm just going to take a swoop all the way down, and then here, yeah, it's fine, over, okay, and then this scoops around here, so we'll just kind of boop, boop, boop. And obviously feel free to put in as many control loops as you'd like, or build in more geometry if you want to. This is, again, just a quick proxy, so I'm not overly concerned. And then once we get it out of here, or if you want to just even update this, you know, you can. I'm going to give myself a little more breathing room on here, and I can always change. I mean, you wouldn't manufacture something with that super thin thing right there. But for now, just for getting something cleaner, I think we're okay. So again, just go through here and kind of punch through the middle on this one here. And I'm thinking we can maybe even rebuild the back, because I don't really care what the geometry back there looks like, although it does have some specifics. So, and we'll keep it. And again, you can use, I don't think we'll use edge. And you know, let's go straight to here. Couple different things you can use for this. Maybe we'll touch on them on the other asset. All right, and the other things I think I can just bridge. I think we're in good shape. So we'll put in this bevel here, and then over and down and over. And you can also use right click to reselect where you are. I usually just go in and tap out unless I'm, and let's go down the middle. Sure. Okay, so if I hit A for adaptive skin, go into solo mode. Here's our rebuilt here. I'm gonna go ahead and just bridge that across. We'll do A to go out of that. This isn't resolving correctly, so I'm just gonna tap in here, make sure everything's fine. So A again. Okay, I think I can work with that basic rudimentary shape, and then I can just bridge what I need to, right? Maybe not. We'll do this one real quick. Simple enough to do. All of this stuff can just be whatever. Don't care that much. We're just looking for a slightly cleaner shape here. And we'll go to the middle and down. And over. I saw something weird. Okay, and just a few more here. Sorry, this is where things slow down. And again, I'm not going to do any blood, sweat, and tears on this thing because it is just a temp proxy just to kind of get a cleaner shape. So we hit A. Cool enough for our purposes here. Let's see what's going on in this corner here. Oh yeah. All right, so, oh yeah, this needs to terminate somewhere, doesn't it? You can go right here. You too. All right, so I'm gonna keep the shape handy for myself. So we're gonna say, let me grab you. And in fact, let's just do a quick Control Shift, Light Boolean turned off, X Symmetry turned off. So I've got this piece here, and we're just gonna have it stored. I'm going to do Shift S just to kind of store a screenshot of it. So I know where that stuff needs to end up. Then I'll go back to my Z-Sphere, and this is the overall shape that we have that we're going to just modify. So we'll say, okay, make an adaptive skin, insert that skin Z-Sphere. And in fact, if I want to keep going through here and be like, okay, let me use Z-Spheres on this headpiece, again, I can just drop that Z-Sphere down, go over here, grab this piece, and then I can just use the Z-Sphere here. The position is fine. So I'm going to say hit A, delete topology, go back into edit topology, and then I can just start redrawing this piece here. This piece might be easier just to kind of start from the primitive, but that's an option for you. In this instance, if we turn off X Symmetry, just grab this one, delete hidden, X turned on, transform, and then just the X for now. We'll go through here and we'll grab like a cylinder, maybe cylinder 16 maybe. And again, we can just say, okay, this is generally a cylinder shape, so we'll say split mass points. And we'll scale it up. And we can just kind of match the overall shape here, hit W, go ahead and scale it down along that axis here. And again, we'll just kind of dial in that overall shape. In fact, we'll go ahead and scale this down just a bit because we'll say it goes out just a bit, and then we'll do a quick group by normals here. So we can hit W and then just Control tap this piece here, and we can Control drag out. And I'm going to set this pivot at the bottom so I can rotate down, scale in, and that gives us our basic general shape for our asset here. If I wanted to, I can go in here to like insert multiple edge loops, interactive elevation. If I wanted to like round this out or even scoop it in if I wanted to, but I think in this case, that's generally what we're looking for. Okay, so like this. And then we can go through here, we can say crease PG, and in fact, let's go ahead and just add a polygroup here. So now when I do a crease PG, it'll hold that edge a little bit better. And go through and clean this up. LOL, our proxy mesh. And then any edges you want to have creased, feel free. In this case, maybe we want to just like, I don't know, crease this edge here, U and U. Maybe U and U. D, crease level of 2, smooth set of 3. Crease level of 3, smooth set of 4. And even this one here, we can say, okay, what does these pieces supposed to look like? Shift S, Shift S. Whatever, Shift S. So now we have this piece, and then we have our rebuilt piece here. So let's go ahead and say, we'll do a couple of quick little moves here. So we'll go ahead and pull this out and push this back in, and just kind of, you can actually use your sculpting brushes on this too, but it's a very, very low res mesh, so it'll help a little bit, but not that much. You can also use clipping here. But again, we're just kind of looking for a slightly nicer mesh here. So I'm going to run a, let's just do a crease tolerance down fairly low. And then let's go in here and manually and just run a crease edge here and then all the way around in here. And then now that I have this little bit of a simplified shape, we can go through and I can just hold down Alt and start painting this. And then I can say, I mean, give me a Q mesh, polygroup ball, hold down Shift to kind of push that back a little bit. So again, fewer polygons to play around with. Helps a little bit. This is going to resolve oddly, so I'm going to go through here and just run a split edge, and then that'll go ahead and bridge those for me if I want to clean this up. Just run a quick delete edge along here, and then let's go ahead and crease to hold that. Again, just a big old fat proxy shape here, holding my edges where needed. D for dynamic here, and then Shift D, edges, 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 D, and some of this stuff too we can handle just kind of clean up wise, but what else? I guess this was all, yeah, this is all crease too. So now we have a cleaner proxy that we can go through and manhandle however we'd like. But we'll go through here and we'll say crease level of 2, smooth set of 3, crease level of 4, smooth set of 5. If you want a slight fall off, and then you can use that as kind of the basis for whatever you want to do next. If you want to go through and have a zany time Z modeling, if you want to just dynamesh this wholesale and go through and just have a cleaner version to work with, you can. And then for this one in particular here, let's do 4 and 5. Again, I'm just kind of want to keep playing with this shape. So in this instance, I might just say dynamic apply, re-dynamesh, and then now go back in here and be like, okay, let's go back in and rebuild this little mass piece here. Let's go out of solo mode so I can see what I'm doing. This little sculpt here, I already know I'm matching the volume, so I don't really need it anymore. So let's go ahead and delete it out of our scene and then go back out of solo mode here. And now we have a slightly cleaner proxy that's slightly more representative. And then again, depending on the building techniques you want to do, feel free to go through and do that. And then we'll just take this real big brush and just kind of squeeze it in there. What else? What else? As far as like rebuilding or adding stuff to this, if you went through here and let's just grab a, like if we want to just build something off of here, if we want to build a, I don't know, BTO for topology brush, I'm going to turn off X symmetry and go through here. Actually, let's grab this one here. X symmetry turned off. So if you want to just do, you know, put a panel on here, fine. BTO topology brush. Oh, you know, you want to put a strap on here, right? Straps are fun. Go through here and we'll just add a strap to this. And we'll go ahead and say, just tap here. We'll say split mask points. I want to make this a little bit thinner. Give us polygroups. Cool. So there's, you know, one of the little straps on the side. I'm going to go ahead and say maybe this loops down. So we'll say, or does this hang on to anything? Doesn't really matter. I'm just technique. So here, cube mesh, polygroup all, hold down Control as you pull this out, and then you can have this kind of floop over, and then it makes it a little bit thinner, and then delete. Single poly here, U and U, and then like we did before, bridge two holes, U to U, and we'll kind of curve that around. And then I'm just going to do a quick Control Shift Select Lasso. We'll do a quick Control W, Control Shift Drag, Auto Groups. And in fact, if I want to hold these corners, maybe I'll just Alt Tap here to make that a new polygroup. Alt Tap here, make that a new polygroup. So now when I do a Uncrease All, Crease PG, D for Dynamic, and then increase level of 2, smooth side of 3. We'll get a little strap here, and you can even hit W and Control drag along our surface, so it'll mask as we go. So then if we set our pivot and just kind of rotate down, or even just use our move brush with, you know, move topological if you wanted to. BI brush insert. Actually, do I have? Yeah, I got a rivet. Yeah, it'll work. Split mask points. And then on here, we'll say apply. Control D. Maybe put in a little. Even going here to pinch, elasticity, up to simulation iterations up to 100, and you can use the cloth simulation to kind of go through here and sell the idea that this is cloth or something like that. And that would be the topology brush. You can also go in here to B. If you hit the comma key, go into brush, there is a ZModeler folder in here. Where it is. There it is, ZModeler. There's a slice ZModeler brush in here and a topology ZModeler brush. Cool thing about ZModeler is, you know, you're in here, and it's like, oh, I'm hovering on a face and I'm selecting stuff. You can also save out a ZModeler brush and assign a hotkey to it. So you can have a face action, an edge action, and a point action all in one. So if I go through here and I do, you know, ZM topology, if I want to, I'm just going to do a real quick, there we go, plane. Just throw a plane on here and just say split mask points. So now we have a plane on this object here, just to make this a little easier to see. There we go. And then if I turn on transparency with ghost turned off. So I've got this object here, so I can go through, oops, Shift D. There you go. So we have a plane on this object. Right now it's like my ZModeler brush, bridge, two holes, or whatever I had. And so instead of going in here to extrude edge and extrude point or snap point, etc., I can just assign a hotkey to the ZM topology brush, which already has a face, an edge, and a point set up. So I can just go through here and start moving this around, and it should snap to the underlying surfaces. If it doesn't, or if it gets off a little bit, remember, you can go into subtool, project all, and anything that's visible on your screen, it'll project to it. So you can just say project all, it'll snap those verts out. So now the point actions are set to snap. So I can go through here and I can snap points together. The edge actions are set to extrude. So you can tap Alt again, and you can go, you know, start extruding these things out. And again, if you just need to do a quick project all to get those points onto the surface, you can. The other one too, you know, of course you can go in here like, oops, you know, insert single edge loop or whatever and start putting in edge loops, and then going back to your topology brush. You can also, here's the ZM slice, so you can set a hotkey for that, and now the edge action and the point actions are set to slice, so you can actually go through and slice your mesh, and you can do a little bit of cleanup, just delete edge here, and then I like to do a quick uncrease all. And you can hit Control D to subdivide. We'll say delete lower, we'll do a quick project all. So we have this, and we're making stuff, right? The thing with slice too, which is, I guess, interesting if you're into slicing, is you can go through here and you can slice. Let me see, did I grab it? Brush. I set it to something else, sorry about that. This would be slice. So it'd be here to a point, back over, and then back where you started, and then fill is the face action. So it's all set up for you to use slicing. Also, another fun one, if we go through here and we'll say Q mesh, polygroup ball, flip. If it yells at you, go to your stupid morph target, delete it, and then flip. So we have this, and then in here, BI brush insert, we have IMM booleans. So for example, if we turn on a bunch of stuff here, and we say, I want to do a cool Boolean on this thing, right? So we have a cool Boolean brush here with a bunch of stuff in it, and you can say, let's do a port access. So we want to drop a port in here. I'm going to say split mass points, and then we'll set this to subtractive. So now, if I have live Boolean turned on here, and we have that set to subtractive, we can go through here and we can like Boolean out, you know, live Boolean this mesh. Now, the problem with this one being, it's going to give you Boolean geometry, which might be a little difficult to clean up. However, we can say, let's go ahead and delete this out of our scene here. If I want to steal something out of here real quick, I can just hit make Boolean Mesh 3D, hit W, just grab any one of these. We have a square one, maybe this one, panel latch. You can just hit W, and then as I'm cycling through, it's just literally stealing this geometry. There's also a plugin for that, Z plugin, IMM extractor you can get. Actually, yeah, maybe something like this. So I'm going to say, okay, I got geometry here. I'm going to take this geo. We're going to say delete hidden. We're going to say B, create insert mesh new. So we've got an insert mesh with a hole on the back, and that'll come in handy. So if we go back to our mesh here, and we don't need that anymore. So we've got this mesh. And you know what? I'm going to duplicate this off. We're going to say dynamic apply, so it's real geometry, and we're going to say delete lower. That's a little high, isn't it? Okay, you know what? Let's just take these creases up. So dynamic off. We're going to hit Control D, delete lower, Control D, delete lower. Okay, so I want to add some detail on here, and I don't necessarily want to. That's not going to work for me. Bridge 2 points, U to U. Okay. I don't want to go through and like punch an alpha or use a Boolean or anything like that. So for instance, we can take, and I don't know if these edges are going to line up that much because obviously I'm playing it fast and loose here, but if you have a polygroup here and you have a mesh or a mesh, IMM mesh with a hole in the back, you can, let's go out of solo so we can see here. Okay, so we have a polygroup and then we have an IMM with a hole in the back. If you take this and then control drag again, it'll use mesh fusion. Let's go turn off our smooth modifier. So it'll just resolve that geometry for me. So now this mesh here has that mesh kind of built into it, and you can go through and you can crease and stuff like that. Also, if you hold down Alt and pull that out, it'll put it on the inside here. So control drag again, it'll resolve all that geometry for you. So that way you don't have to rely on, again, stamping something or anything like that. Oh, still here, huh? Okay. Okay, we're out of time. So let me go back through the things real quick here. Congratulations, I've received 100 messages today from one spam bot. Oh, sorry, there's been a lot of comments coming in. Yes. It's cool. Fusion. Okay, we've already talked about that. Trouble moving files from ZBrush to Keyshot if they originated from Max MasterCard. I think something with a conversion. It should just be Geo. I mean, especially if you're using the ZBrush bridge, it should just work. It's supposed to be generalist in some sense in terms of art. It could go either way. Again, like you said, you know, principal artist is going to be defined by the studio and how it's run. But yeah, it seems to me. I mean, also you could be a super specialist. You could be a principal artist who does one thing really well. It's probably valid too. How to clear a material from an object. So if we have everybody's favorite matte cap red wax and we have a color, so mRGB on here, we go to color, fill object, and then we're like, okay, we have colorize turned on. If we turn colorize off, of course we can go through and we can switch these out on the fly. However, if we have colorize on and we're like, okay, I like my color, I just don't like the material, go in here to flat color, M color, fill object, flat color gets rid of any material assignment. So now you can go through and you can change it to whatever material, and then M color, fill object, or just take it off. So again, if you don't want the material, so color, fill object, maybe we just want the color, RGB, color, fill object. So now we can go through and we can swap out the material on top of here, I think. Flat color, light Boolean off, M, color, fill object, clear it out. Okay, now we can go through and we can change out our material on the fly and maintain our RGB color with colorize. Cool. Sometimes the Z-remesher or Z-spheres will get a little crashy on you. Z-modeler, read topology faster than Z-sphere read topology. Depends. Not for me, but for others. Yes. Hey, Peru. A bit south of me. Is there slow speed in live streams faster? Yes, you can. Yeah, on the YouTube video you can slow it down. Cool. Gear icon. Thank you. You got it. Special method for making a character to puzzle blocks. That would be, you know what might be interesting? I've never done it before, but if you use the spotlight and create as alpha spotlight that has your puzzle pieces with black in between, you can project that down as a Boolean and then Boolean your objects out as just a big puzzle piece. So that might work. Cool. Alrighty. All right. Well, I think we're good. We didn't get too far, but we talked a lot about technique. And, you know, isn't that really the point of me messing around? Goofing in ZBrush, as we say. So there we go. We have a weirdo Doom thing. And again, I'm going to replace that. BI. Do I have anything here? The model. So there is a lot of cool stuff in here, like the spaceship or the IMM machine parts and the IMM model toolkit. You can look through here, kind of dig through and see if there's anything, you know, kind of interesting and rounded. In this case, not necessarily what I'm looking for, but we can steal again. So let's go BI brush insert. There's some Boolean parts in here. So again, let's go hop out of here. Let's hit W, and I'm just going to grab this shape here, and we're going to say, I'm going to mask this. You see if I invert. What am I trying to do here? Oh, let's do this. Let's say flip our faces, and then I'm going to say get rid of the green part here. Say delete hidden. We don't need any of this. Delete hidden. We can run a close holes, or we can just do a you know, close convex hole on this piece here. Maybe, oops, X symmetry turned off. Delete hidden. Come on. What error message is it giving me? Not on an open edge. Pretty sure it is. Pretty sure it is. Double. Oh, no, it's not. My mistake. It's not. Control Shift along here just to get rid of that. Delete hidden. Okay, and then now we can close hole. Control W. Use this as an insert mesh brush maybe. So B, create insert mesh, new, hop back to our head here. So instead of skulls hanging out of the eyeballs, we'll have something a little more sci-fi-y. Split mask points. Yeah, we'll say split mask points, and then back on the skull, we'll get rid of these little purple skulls here. Delete hidden. Now we got some googly eyes. Sci-fi googly eyes here. Yoink. It's like, who's that guy from Young Frankenstein? Let's go here. LSIM turned on. Igor. All right. Bevel Pro, production ready, clean topology. How do you bool like Bevel Pro get production ready, clean topology you can work with in Maya rigging Z-remesher? Is there a way, or rebuild it by hand? Is there a way to keep edge aligned straight to y-axis after using ZRemesher? I tried using ZRemesher guides, but not doing it correctly. I don't use ZRemesher guides. Any ZRemeshing I do is going to be done with polygroups. So, for example, these are all bad examples. Yeah, if I want, so in this instance, if we duplicate this off, hide everything, group by normals, and then you know what? Let's do this. X symmetry turned off. Insert. Multiple edge loops, specified elevation, keep polygroup. So we have an object here, and we want to crease our polygroups, and I want geometry to follow a specific line or something like that. So let's do this. Apply, Control Shift, go through here and slice. So I'd basically explicitly tell it I want a ZRemesher guide through that line. So now when I hear ZRemesher half, depth size down to 0, keep group smooth groups down to 0, it follows that line exactly. And in this case, you could actually go in here and you could do this will be fun, panel loops, thickness, polish down, little thickness up. You can pop this into a panel loops. There's even panel loop presets you can kind of play around with and get some fun, you know, sci-fi stuff. Say crease PG, crease level 2, smooth side level 3, and you have a little sci-fi shape. Sculpt set of you telling you what to add something and tell. Yeah, let's do that next time. I'm going to be streaming on my channel on Thursday, so hop over to my channel on Thursday and we'll do exactly that. You tell me what you want me to make, and I'll just keep adding to it. Cool. Thanks everybody. Sorry for the weird live stream, but I was ill prepared. Go check out my Mr. Mixelplix dance weirdo. He's fun. So that's what I did yesterday on my day off. That was a fun one. So check that out if you want. If you want more ZBrush stuff, like we've been messing around on the YouTube channel, just go to the playlists, created playlists here, and there's a ton of ZBrush stuff on there. You can get you caught up, and you can even search in here. So if you're like, what the hell was ZModeler? What's that all about? You can type that in, and then I'll get you caught up there. And there's the ZModeler edge extrusion new options. Cool. Thanks everybody. Take it